distinguished guests, we're about to start our ceremony. I'm Ed Lovelydick, Commander VFW Post 758, and I will be your MC for today's event. I would like to thank our parade Grand Marshal today, Dave Bruley. If you will all rise, Diana Gosselin from the BFA, delete that. Diana Gosselin will perform our national anthem. Feel free to sing along.
Right shoulder on.
Salute. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now I'd like to call up a group of young people who have volunteered to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, the first grader travelers of St. Albans City School. Are they not present?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. And I love Mr. Whiskers.
Thank you. At this time, I call the chaplain, Homer Weatherby, to deliver the invocation.
Uncover. Let us bow our heads. Almighty God, be with us as we come together this day to pay tribute to those who have served and those who are serving in our armed forces. We are grateful for their dedication and commitment and the countless selfless acts that they have performed and the sacrifices of their families so that we might continue to enjoy freedom. We thank you for their service to their nation, and we thank you for their commitment and service to their families, to their communities, and to society in the years since they served. We are mindful of the fact that many of their comrades sacrificed their very lives on the fields, on the seas, and in the air, where the battles of the war were fought. We remember those today with great reverence and thanksgiving. We thank you for our great land, for life, for liberty, and the freedom to pursue of happiness that constitute the legacy of our forebears and the ongoing ideals of our republic. Continue your blessings upon us as we conduct this ceremony, and may each of us as individuals and as a nation continue to acknowledge you. Amen.
As we start this ceremony today, I want to remind those of you who gathered here on Veterans Day what Veterans Day means. Veterans Day is not like Memorial Day. On Memorial Day, we pay honor to those who servicemen and women who have passed on. Veterans Day is to honor the living so that you can thank every serviceman and woman and say thank you for the enduring freedom we enjoy and sometimes take for granted. Freedom is not free. The bill for our freedoms remains paid in full by the brave and valiant efforts of those who faithfully served and continue to serve our nation. Look back in history and discover the names of famous veterans. Selfishness, sacrifice paved the way for our continued freedom. Look to the future and our children. They can be motivated and inspired by learning about the sacrifices of our honorable veterans. Let us sow the seeds of patriotism, equality, and unity in the minds of our children. Let us teach them to cherish their freedoms. Let us also teach them to never forget the price of these freedoms and our men and women who have secured them for the next generation. At this time, I'd like to introduce the town manager, Dominic.
Thank you. Well, the mayor and I have a standing agreement that if it drops below 40 degrees, it's city manager weather. So I'm pleased to be here on behalf of the city of St. Albans and welcome you all to the city and certainly Taylor Park. This morning as I was leaving the hockey game, my son said to me, "Dad, why are we going to the park?" I explained to him that it was Veterans Day, and he, as kids do, said, "Well, what is a veteran?" And after we covered the technical explanation, it gave me cause to pause and reflect about some of the ways that I encounter veterans in my daily life with the community. At the top of that list is our employees. There's about 70 folks that work for the city, and over 30 of them are veterans, and there's a reason for that. They make great employees because they understand things like loyalty, service, and the value of working hard at a job worth doing, and that can be awfully hard to find sometimes. They also make great entrepreneurs, and I look at all the small businesses that have been created by veterans, and then particularly most recently 14 Star. And finally, they make great volunteers, and I look at all the various causes throughout the communities that have veterans at the helm, and then particularly the Veterans Valet Service most recently giving rise to and providing a good example of what it means to give back to your community. So I'm delighted to welcome you here today, and thank you for coming out to remember our veterans.
Now at this time, our guest speaker, I'd like to introduce Senator Randy Brock.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Got to speak into it. Into the end.
100 years ago today, at this very moment, the guns of the First World War, the Great War, fell silent. Since then, at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the American people have observed this day, first as Armistice Day, and now as Veterans Day. Armistice Day marked a victory for the Allies and a complete defeat of our enemies. Since then, millions of Americans each year have gathered to mark that day and to continue this great tradition. Today, Veterans Day is the day when all across America, in gatherings large and small, we pause to remember not just those who fought in the Great War, but all veterans from every war, those who made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as those who served and returned home to family. 16,000 Vermonters served in the Great War, and among them, more than 1,000 were from Franklin County. And of these, 61 were killed and 88 wounded. Their officers called them men, but they were really mostly boys, and in today's military, girls. They were young, just beginning adult life, and some never lived to grow to adulthood and old age. Wars cannot be fought without the men and women who become veterans. But as someone once said, while the utopian ideal of a society without war is appealing, let us not forget that wars have liberated slaves, stopped genocide, and toppled terrorists. We're not here today to praise the famous. We come instead to honor those who served, often without recognition or notice. But so much that is good in America depends on the unknown actions of humble men and women who understand the importance of duty done quietly and well. These unknown warriors who live amongst us in every community in Vermont and across America best symbolize such acts of quiet courage by ordinary people whose reward is that their nation and their freedoms remain secure for future generations. They may not have succeeded in ending all wars, but that does not make their contribution any less valuable. They each did their part so that another generation could build on their sacrifice and work towards a peace that might at last endure. Regardless in rank, pride in military service is a bond shared by all of those who've served. This pride is often on display in every newspaper in the country, where military service, regardless of how many decades have passed, is mentioned in the obituary of nearly every deceased veteran. But we can never forget that those who've defended us from our enemies themselves must be supported. Whether their service was in Baghdad or Beirut, Seoul or Saigon, Kabul or Kandahar, we need to serve our veterans as well as they've served us, even when the guns are no longer firing. We must ensure that our Veterans Administration steps up, provide the quality care that veterans have earned and deserve. And when we express thanks of a grateful nation, we must ensure that these are not just words. We can do better. We must do better. Fewer than 10% of Americans can claim the title veteran, and far less than 1% of our population is currently defending us in the global war on terror. Throughout our history, veterans have given us freedom, security, and the greatest nation on earth. Our liberties, our values, all for which America stands, is safe today because brave men and women have been ready to face the fire at freedom's front. And while Veterans Day is November 11, we should thank our veterans every single day. It's the least a truly grateful nation can do. God bless you all for being here. God bless our veterans, and God bless America.
Thank you, Randy. Now, will Lucas, you come up here and introduce your people here? Where you at? Oh, there you go.
Hello, I'm Lucas Wagner. I'm a 7th grader at St. Albans City School and a member of Team USA. We host Veterans Day every year. And I'm sure you've noticed by now that there are a lot less people than in recent past. The reason for this is, like last year, Veterans Day falls on a weekend. So unfortunately, we can't have all the schools officially participate. But nonetheless, we're going to honor our Veterans Day. Thank you to all who have joined us on this cold, blustery day to honor our veterans. My other fellow citizens have made the choice to stay and enjoy the warmth of their home and the company of their love of their families. These are all luxuries that you veterans did not have when you served. But thanks to your sacrifice during your service, those citizens were free to make that choice today. We will have speakers from our schools, St. Albans City and St. Albans Town, joining us up here today. For our first speaker, we have Lila Rulo from St. Albans City School.
Imagine yourself hungry and anxious, standing even though your feet ache and your gun is heavy, waiting for something. Imagine the sharp breeze rushing by and the metallic feel of your gun. Imagine living minute by minute in a foreign land. Maybe you see rough, sandy earth below you. Maybe you feel the pull of the thick mud under your boots. Whatever the setting, you're ready. You know that no matter what, you cannot abandon your post, and so you wait. You wait because you know no matter what, everyone is counting on you to do your job and do it well. You stand ready to defend your comrades because you know that they would do the very same for you. This is a soldier. Veterans have felt this. Veterans have seen this. This is why we should honor them. I believe veterans should be honored because they are the reason that we have all that we do. They have maintained our freedom and dignity. They have provided security for our country and have risked their lives to do so. They have given us our freedom. They have given us our safety. The safety that many of us in this room take for granted. Without their service, America wouldn't be the America that we live in today. They have risked everything for us, the people. I think we often forget to be grateful and don't stop to think about why we have what we have. We don't take the time to truly think of all the great things veterans have done for us and our country. At school each day, we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, but we never really stop to think about what it means. We never stop to think about it because it is something we've done since kindergarten. The pledge should be a daily reminder to all of us that veterans have fought for our flag, our freedom, and our way of life. I believe we should honor veterans for the risks they take for us. I want to honor veterans today and every day for their bravery, selflessness, and unwavering dedication. All of us at St. Albans City School would like to say thank you for your service.
Thank you, Lila. For our second speaker, we have Rebecca Dahmer from St. Albans Town School.
Today, in cities and towns across the nation, we gather to celebrate our brave war heroes on the centenary mark of Armistice Day, and I am honored to be a part of this, a part of a collective and genuine thank you, veterans. We are here to remember their courage, dedication, and bravery in stepping forward to protect this country, our country. You don't have to look very far in your own life to find someone who has been in the military, whether it be a family member or a friend. There is someone who you can turn to and thank for their service. I can thank many of my great-uncles and great-grandfathers for their service. One was a medic, another was in the Air Force, several were in the Marine Corps, and one of my great-uncles was in Force Recon in the Marine Corps. I've heard stories of them, but they all served before I was born, and neither have I met most of them, so I don't know what it's like to have a part of the family missing. But I can imagine it. Imagine the anxiety of, will my family member come back? Will they really make it? Families of war veterans can say, yes, they did. They made it back, and we are all the more proud and grateful. Being grateful is also very important on Veterans Day. What sort of opportunities would I have as a student or would we have as a nation if not for our veterans? What sort of world would we live in if not for our veterans? Thankfully, we don't need to imagine what sort of world it would be like without our brave war hero, but doing so helps us be all the more grateful for their service. Veterans Day is not only a day in which we can thank them for their service, it is also a day in which we can be reminded of all the things we take for granted. Today can be a day when we remember all that we have because of our veterans. Each American holiday in turn reminds us of something to celebrate or be grateful for. On Labor Day, we thank our workforce. On Independence Day, we celebrate becoming our own country. And on Memorial Day, we honor those who have sacrificed their lives for this country. But what makes Veterans Day so special is that we can personally celebrate and honor those who have defended our country. Just as our flag is a symbol of freedom, our veterans are a symbol of hope. And though the spotlight may slide off them tomorrow, may we never forget their courage, their dedication, and their sacrifice for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you all for your speeches and for sharing your time with us today to honor our veterans. Now at this time, I will read off the roll call of the deceased veterans. Guy Bart, James Brady, Curtis Brown, Raymond Bushy, James Button, William Button, Stephen Chapman, Burton Cross, Charles Drinkwater, Ronald Dusko, Daniel Zydzik, Stuart Feet, Stanley Fieldman, Harold Foote Jr., Henry Garceau, Robert Gleason Sr., Richard Granger, Paul Gurton, Terrence Hakey, Charles Ives, George Kernan, Patricia King, Clark Lamson, Patrick Largy, John LaRock, Brian Levick, Gerald Lutz, Claude Magnant, Richard Mercy, Maurice Messier, Dennis Paquette, Ernst Perry, Robert Platt, George Prime, Bernard H. Rivers, Paul Rushlow, Scott Sweeney, Ricky Tatro, Orrin Tebow, William Thomas Sr., Charles Tucker, George Vance Sr., John Waterhouse, Stanley White, and Gordon Osborne Sr. At this time, please take a moment to honor these veterans and anyone else we may have missed. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to prepare to lay the wreath. Tim, would you come up with going to lay the wreath. Right shoulder, arm. We're going to go lay the wreath. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would now please join us in the singing of God Bless America, led by Michael White, student of BFA St. Albans.
Sorry if my voice is a little bit shaky. It's a bit cold right now. Yeah. All right, here we go. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you, very good. Good job. Now we call Chaplain Homer Weatherby to deliver a benediction.
Uncover.
Just speak into the mic.
Yep. And now, dear Heavenly Father, as we go our separate ways, we ask you to help and guide us through the all coming days. Be with us and safely lead us down the service road. We thank you for your loving care. It will help lighten the load. We thank you for your blessings. Go with us as we part. See each one safely home and lighten every heart. Amen.
Okay, I hope as you leave here today that each of us will be motivated and inspired by the deeds and accomplishments of the patriots of the past and present. I hope this motivation will lead us to a brighter future armed with renewal of a sense of patriotism and purpose. We must remain committed to a stronger nation and to our veterans. For it's our veterans who have sacrificed and paid the highest price for us all. We owe the veterans so much, so please remember what you have heard today and thank a veteran. I'd like to give a special thanks to the City of St. Albans for their support, Team USA, the VFA Band, Honor Guard, First Grade Travelers, and the Fire Department for their support, and of course all the veterans organizations and the VVA, the Post 1 American Legion, and the Purple Heart. I thank you very much for being here, and thank mostly for all you people that stand out in the cold and give your thanks to your veterans. We're here to serve you. Thank you.